Men of Reddit, what's the creepiest thing a woman has ever said to you? She told me she would rather kill me and then herself than see me with someone else. So since you're still alive, how long y'all been together? Now, please send help. /s I haven't spoken to her in years actually, but I'll admit I stayed in that relationship way longer than I should have. As a child, 10y, closed bracket comma, my then stepmom requested some specific candy bar from my trick-or-treating hall. When I refused, she casually said, "I'll rape you for it." I had only a vague idea what the word meant, but it sounded like bad news. Bonus, same individual performed a tactile inspection of my downstairs when I tried on a new bathing suit to ensure that my package was alright. You told your dad, right? Drunk woman with an older lady nearby sat down next to me on a bench and looked at me. "I'll F you if you can beat up my mom over there. Tell me more. Tell me more. Did she put up a fight? Tell me more. Tell me more. Was it love at first sight?" I worked at a fast food place years ago. My girlfriend came in for a milkshake and was waiting at the end of the counter with one of our regulars, Doris. The regular was near 90 years old and had invited me home to have pot roast at her house multiple times. I was being a pain and put about a foot of whipped cream over the top of the lid of my GF's milkshake and brought it to her. Doris looked at her, then looked at me deadpan and said, "I wish you cream me like that." Doris never ordered desserts. Edit, added a much needed space. I just imagined the female version of her Bert from Family Guy Mayo. A complete and total stranger walked over to me and said, "I need you to rearrange my guts with your cock." She pointed at the men's bathroom and then walked over and into it while I left. This woman had 20 years at least on everyone in that place, and the best way for me to describe how she looked is to say half crushed beer can. Apostrophe. She pointed at the men's bathroom and then walked over and into it. It's horrible that she said that and all, but I do love the idea of her just standing next to a urinal waiting impatiently. My friend was a bouncer at a very fancy cocktail lounge in Soho, New York City. There was a woman who would come in occasionally, head straight for the men's bathroom, walk in, lock the door, and offer to F whoever was in there. She was very attractive and very weird. Some men took her up on it. Others freaked out and got the manager. She had to kicked out repeatedly. I had a gal tell me she was gonna follow me home and fuck the dog s out of me whether I wanted it or not. For context, I was living in the Bronx at the time. I heard s like that all the time. That went from scary to get out to here ya little rascal when you said Bronx, right? I was 17 when I moved there, and I learned real quick to just let it roll off. In this case I think I said something like "not today or not." I worked at a caviar bar in SF, and it was basically cougar bait. One time this relatively older lady said, "You look just like my son. You should come home with me." B should not follow from A. I was sleeping with a woman in her 40s in my mid-20s. One day after sex she looked me deeply in the eye and said, "Wow, you really remind me of my son," with a big smile on her face, and leaned in for a kiss. It was a last date. Oh my god. Will you sleep with me if I drug and stab you? It'll be Funi was waiting for my bus at 6 AM. I'll sleep with you if you promise not to do those things. What if it's just a little poke? On a scale of thumbtack to Darth Maul, what is your depth ratio of blade to intercourse? I want to have your ADHD infested children. Are you ADHD infested? I have tested positive. Would it be weird if my son called you back, quote, "Dad, I was 18. She was 25. We were coworkers at a Walmart photo lab, and she said that to me on the phone while I was walking to her place to hook up for the first time. I was young and horny and simply said, no, he'd just be wrong." At a bar, a woman a good 20 years older than me walked up from behind me, ran her hands through my hair, and said, "I'm a dominatrix. Sorry, I'm more of an Autobot person." I hate to tell you this, but Elle had to have an abortion, and it was yours. We never did more than kiss. I mean, I'm a pretty solid kisser, but not that good. I had a lady friend who was adamant she was pregnant with my child. I pulled her dad aside and explained what she had told me, expecting a lashing, and how I'm gonna pay for this kid. He calmly goes, "She does this with everyone who wants to leave her. Just walk away and have a good life." 100% wish he was my dad. Cooler dude with a rest daughter. Holy fuck. That's a crazy bullet to have dodged. Thanks Pops. A few years ago I started hanging out with this girl who was around my friend group at the time and came to trivia nights with us occasionally. Things were going well at first, but then I started noticing some odd signs. She never slept. She would do bizarre things like start her shower, then go start cooking food, then sit down and begin tending her plants, as if she kept forgetting what task she was doing. She put a sign out on her lawn with her cell phone number on it, wanting to connect with strangers. It got weirder as it went on. I mentioned to her once that I liked thunderstorms, and she became convinced that I could cause thunderstorms. At first I thought she was joking, but it started to weird me out. Then one night, when I was sleeping over, I noticed that she was just sitting in bed watching me. She put her hand on my heart and whispered that she could hear the beautiful fishes in my blood that very morning. Her father burst into her apartment yelling about her appointment with the psychiatrist that she kept avoiding. She told me that her parents and the doctors were trying to convince her that she had bipolar disorder and wanted to shut her brain off. Long story short, her friends and family convinced her to go. She bravely took on her mental illness and got help before the manic episode got out of control. And now we are very close friends to this day. I was a cashier at my college's market, and this very clearly drunk girl and her friends came in and were buying NA drinks. She goes, "Oh hi, my name." I had my name tag on, so I didn't think about it. But after scanning her stuff she frowns and says, "Don't ya remember me?" I had no clue who she was, and I shake my head apologizing. And she goes, "Well, I know you." She's staring at me and her friends are looking uncomfortable. I laugh awkwardly and she just goes, "You live in my dorm hall and dorm number, and aren't you roommates with my roommate's name?" After that my eyebrows raised and her friends kinda pushed her out, saying things like, "He clearly doesn't remember you" and all that. Later that night, I asked my roommates and gave a physical description, and both of them had no idea who she was. Do you want to stick it in my sticky pussy? I was still a virgin and this question did not convince me to stick it anywhere for a while. LMAO, was she my neighbor? I used to have these crackhead neighbors that would get in crazy loud public arguments, and one night we were in bed, and all we hear from the apartment below us is him screaming, "I am so sick and tired of your squeaky stinky pussy." We weren't even mad. We couldn't stop laughing. She held up a banana and asked if my pee was the same size. In the middle of a dinner rush, as loud as can be, in front of about 5 customers and everyone on shift that night. And this was after she groped my brother's ass. Somehow she didn't get fired for this, and I still resent my former boss for not being more attentive. A girl once told me that she was jealous of her friend because she got raped and got a cute baby out of it. I don't think I ever felt less comfortable. What the F? I said the same thing. What in the F? UCK indeed. I'm, like, really submissive. Like, I'll let a guy s in my mouth once, and I didn't even like him that much. For context, it was a second and last date. Well, slaps, this was a fun date, but ITA getting really late, and I have this thing tomorrow her, but our foods hasn't come yet. Ya had her, okay, catch ya later, finger guns. If you didn't have a ring on you, I would have raped you. So raping a single guy is totally fine. She draws the line at raping married man. Professionals have standards. A woman I matched with on Tinder told me that she likes to kill animals, and then asked to meet me in the middle of the woods. I figured that might be a red flag, so unmatched, and never went back to Tinder. Swiped left so hard Tinder uninstalled. Slapped that app right off his phone. Had an ex who routinely threatened to cut it off any chance she got. She would have her hands on it and sometimes would say things like, "If you ever cheat on me, I'll cut you D off, and if I could cut it off and keep it in a jar, I wouldn't need you anymore." I would wake up with her holding onto it while looking at me. Crazy AF, but yeah, hate to break it to you, But with that happening multiple times you should have been away much quicker. He was scared how she'd react. I want to have sex with you, and I want my husband to come in the room to catch us having sex and you ending up fighting him. Actual cave woman. Ooga booga fight for my amusement. Back in college I was at a study group, and I found myself talking to this girl. Just talking about class and eventually just talking about random other stuff like life at school and favorite places to eat nearby. Then after a moment of silence she tells me that she wants to see me fight off a group of guys trying to attack her, and she'd hold me while I was beaten up and bleeding on the floor. I mean, just randomly dropping that on someone when a minute ago we were talking about best places to get cheap food is a bit much at it. For the dozens of people asking, I just kinda brushed it off and awkwardly tried to turn the conversation to something not about me getting violently beat up. Also, I'd maybe talked to her a handful of times and always in class, and this was the first out of classroom conversation I'd had with her. Shame on her, assuming you couldn't hold your own and come out not bloody and beat up. Some woman asked me to stick my tongue out and then said, you gonna make someone really happy with that big tongue of yours. I was 9. That's fucked up. When I was younger I worked in a bar popular with 18 to 20-year-olds. One night as a group of girls was leaving I made eye contact with one of them. That was enough. She came stumbling up to the bar and said, I have to show you the background on my phone. She put her phone on the bar and the background was a picture of me. I took it about 3 weeks ago. I'm totally obsessed. Your photo is the last thing I see before I go to sleep and the first thing I see when I wake up. Apostrophe. I recently spent the weekend with a woman. We have hooked up periodically for the last 25 years. Anyways, we were chatting and she brought up how a guy she had dated insisted he come to a doctor's appointment with her. The doctor informed her that she has herpes and the guy was disturbed by this. She was complaining about this to me hours after we had sex. She was bitching to a guy who just slept with her that another guy was disturbed by her being diagnosed with herpes. So far I have had no blisters, but it's the last time I will hook up with her. Get tested. Because herpes is asymptomatic and a lot of people who contract it. Yay, that's probably a good idea. Thank you. She said my dead brother was talking to her. Holy s f that. Don't f that. But she's hot. First day of my real job right out of college. I was introduced to an older lady in the office. Gave her my name and a handshake. And she proceeded to not say anything and look me up and down like I was a slab of Vista Prime beef. Licked her lips. Classic Joyce. As it turns out. Good God.